Okay, you're good in aesthetic. Okay, so as I was saying, I said that type of referencing is known as mixed reference, relative referencing, and is a default type of referencing in Excel. So why do we call it relative referencing? You notice that when I create this first formula, is referencing cell D11 and E11. So when I like apply the formula to the next cell, is referencing the cell that corresponds to the formula. In this case, now it's referencing D12 and E12. And like that, as I'm dragging it down, the formula is going to be changing. It's going to be changing. So this is what we call relative referencing in Excel. And no matter the type of formula you create in Excel, it can be when you drag the autofill across the column and down the row, it keeps changing, and that's what we call what relative referencing in Excel. So the other type of referencing that we have is absolute referencing. Absolute referencing is the type of referencing that only reference a particular cells or range of cells. So when you are referencing just a single cell or range of cells in Excel, then we use absolute referencing for that. So for example, now I gave an example here that okay, I have my revenue. Let's say I need to pay 5% as a tax value on every revenue I made from my sale. Now I have the tax percentage in cell G2. So what I want to do now is this. I want to multiply this 5%, this cell by everything that I have in the revenue cell, that is from D2 to D6. How can I do that? I can do that by doing absolute referencing. Absolute referencing in the sense that I'm going to log the cells that contain the percentage value, whereby if I drag it across the column or down the row, it's not going to change in any way. So a very good example is this. So I multiply the revenue, to get the percentage, you have to multiply the revenue by the percentage multiplied by 5%. Now this one is giving me the what? The tax value. The tax value, that is the 5% of 240 is $12. Now for me to now apply this formula to the other one, and I want this 5 to be multiplying all the values, then I have to log the percentage cell. So because if I drag it normally here, it's going to be giving me relative referencing, because that's the default type of reference in there. And how do I log the cell? You log the cell by adding $sign to the cell name. And one thing about the cell name is that there is difference between the column name and the row name. Column is the column name are labeled alphabetically, while the row name are labeled numerically. Now the cell name is a combination of both the row and column. So for example, now the cell name for this particular 5% is G2. So it's got it from both the column G, is the cell is an intersection of what the column G and row 2. That's why we call G2. So in that case, I have to be locking cell G2, not column G or row 2. So if I put $sign in front of G now and in front of 2, that shows I've locked the cell. So in this case, I'm not locking row or column, I'm locking the cells because I've applied $sign to both the name that make up the cells. So that's that. So if I drag this one down using the autofill function now, then I get my answer. So for this case now, it is using cell G2 to multiply all other cells. And that's what we call absolute referencing in Excel. Are you with me?
Yes, yes, please go on.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is what we call absolute referencing. So the next type of referencing that we have now is mixed referencing. Although mixed referencing can be a bit complicated, but this is just the real definition of mixed referencing. So when we are talking about mixed referencing is just you locking a part of the cells, locking a part of the cells that make up the whole formula. It can be one of the cells or the two cells. So that is what we call mixed referencing. An example is this. Let's say for this, let me use this formula as an example. This D11 and A11 now. If I log a column in, let's say for example, I log the column name here by applying $sign to D and applying maybe $sign to 11. That's mixed referencing because I'm looking a part of the four cells that make up the formula, and I'm looking a part of the second cell that make up the formula. Now, another type mixed referencing can also be that okay, you locking just a single cell, a part of the cells, yeah, looking a part of one of the cells that make up the formula. Sorry, it can be you just looking a part of one of the cells that make up the formula. In this case, I'm only looking probably D for D11. I didn't look anything in the E11. I just leave that way. So that's an example of also example of mixed referencing. So it is not probably someone asked a question about probably applying absolute referencing and mixed referencing. No. So some cells make up the formula. So if I look up a part of the cells that make up the formula, it can be both of the cells or one of the cells. That is an example of a mixed referencing. And a very good example that I cited in the class was the what's it called now? Multiplication table. So for example, now I want to create multiplication table. And the whole essence of creating formulas and using referencing in Excel is that you just creating a single formula and applying autofill to it, and it can also automatically generate the result that you want for the other cells. Not you moving from one cell to the other, writing the formula. For example, now let's say you create like a balance sheet or something, or someone had created a sheet in your company, and you want to create the formula in such a way that as people are imputing the value or inputting the value into the sheet, you don't want to be coming back to the sheet and start writing the formula. So you want the sheet to be updating itself and automating itself automatically. So you can write down the formula as they are inputting the data now. The cell will be automating and updating itself. So that's one of the functions of creating formulas and using referencing in Excel. So like I said, I want to create a multiplication table. So let me just take with multiplication table 1 and 3. So I have my value arranged this way. Now, what I want to do here is this. My goal is just to write a single formula whereby if I drag it across the column and down the row, I will achieve my desired goal. The goal is this. And like I said earlier, referencing is all about the goal. So you have to tweak your referencing to whatever it is you want to achieve. So that's why you have to understand the basic. You have to understand the logic of the references. So when you understand the logic of the reference, you can easily just apply it to any problem and you are going to get your desired result. So my desire, what I want to achieve in this one is this. I want to get a multiplication table 1 to 3, since that like 1 times 1 is going to give me my answer here. 1 times 2 give me my answer here. 1 times 3 give me my answer here. So that's what I want to achieve. And I want to achieve for other ones like that. So, and I want to just write a single formula that I can apply the autofill function to, and it's going to populate the rest just like that. Not me going from one cell to the other and typing out the formula, which is going to be stressful if I have a longer table than this. So in this case, so I have to look at it. For this particular one now, I want to multiply this one that I have here by every value that I have here, just to get my value here. So that will be 1 times 1 to get 1, 1 times 2 to get 2, 1 times 3 to get 3. And I want to multiply this one that I have here. That's the way the formula works. To multiply everything that I have here to get my answer here. And this one by everything here to get my answer here. This one by everything to get my answer. That's what I want to achieve. And I noticed one thing about referencing in Excel is this. Whenever you create a formula in Excel, let's say for example, I create a formula here equals to maybe I11 multiplied by what's it called now? J11. Now, if I drag this formula across the row, sorry, across the column, the row name will be changing from one cell to the other. For example, now what make up this one is what? I and J. You understand now? So if I drag it to the next one, I'm going to be getting J and K. If I drag to the next one, I'm going to be getting K and L. That's relative referencing in Excel. So let's try that now. So if I try that and apply it to this side, you can see that is exactly what I'm getting. So for the second one now, it's doing J11 times K10, and this one is going to be doing K11 times L10. That's relative referencing. So when you drag relative referencing across the column, the value of the column will be changing. Because what is in the column, like what is responding for the across the column is the column name. But if I drag it down the row, it is the row name that is going to be changing. For example, this one, if I drag the formula from this particular column J now, I drag it down the row, it is still on column J. J will not be changing. So what is going to be changing is the row name, like 11, 12, 13, and 14. So that is how Excel works. So in this case now, I want to create something whereby if I drag it across the column and down the row, it will give me my desired result. Like I explained, our desired result is to multiply this one by everything that we have here. So how can we do that? Let's just create a single formula first. Equals to this I11 times J10. Now, I want the value of this J10 to be changing from J to K to L. So I'm not going to be locking the column name for that one. But for this I11 now, let me try and zoom out this here so that you can see very well. But for this I11 now, I don't want the I11 to be changing as I'm dragging across the column. Like I don't want it to be changing from I to J. So in that case, What is responsible for the column name changing is the column name. So I'm going to log the column name, which is the I. I'm not really bothered by the row name in this case because I'm dragging across the column. And it's going to be referencing row 11 across everything because everything's still on row 11. But for the second one, if I drag it down the row, I don't want it to be changing from like maybe 10, 11. So I'm going to log the row name, which is 10. So if I press enter now, I got my answer. So if I drag it across the column, I'm getting the desired result. And if I drag it down the row, I'm getting the desired result. And that's one of the example of mixed referencing. Are you with me? Okay. So yeah, that's that. So that's mixed referencing. So another thing is let's check another example of mixed referencing. Okay, someone is raising hand here. Okay, David
Sorry,
Messi.
Messi, you can speak. I think Messi and David. Yeah.
Okay. David Messi, you have a question before we proceed?
Sorry, it was a mistake.
Okay. Right. I think yeah. That's a mistake. Okay. So let's proceed. So let's try another example of mixed referencing that we have here now. So another example of mixed referencing that I have here is this. Now, like I explained in the video, so do I do it? Yeah. So I have 5 drivers that work for me. I have driver A to driver E. They work for me. And I have 5 buses that I distributed among these drivers. And for each day, I have the percentage of their total transaction value that I charge as my own profit. Now, for example, now for Monday, I charge them 7% of their transaction value as my own profit. On Tuesday, I charge them 8% of their transaction value. That is the amount that they process for my profit. And on Wednesday, I charge 5%. On Thursday, I charge 4%. Now, what I want to do now is this. I want to calculate my profits. What is the profit that I'm making from each driver in each day? So I want to calculate what is my total profit from each driver for each day now. Now, I can use mixed references to also achieve this goal. So what I want to do now is this. So I want to multiply this 7% by all the value for Monday only to get my profit for Monday for all the drivers. For Tuesday, I want to multiply this 8% by everything, by all the transaction value for all the drivers to get my profit for Tuesday. And I want to do the same for Wednesday and Thursday. So that is the goal. That is what I want to achieve. Now, what I want to do to achieve this goal is just I want to write just a single formula whereby if I apply auto fill, drag it across the row or down the column, I want to get my desired result. I just want to write a single formula to get my desired result. I don't want to be moving from one cell to the other to be typing the formula one after the other. And you know that one is actually so stressful also. So to achieve that now, so I have to study the whole thing very well and see how I can apply my referencing to achieve my desired result. So in that case, I want to multiply this 7% by everything here, 8% by everything here, 5% by everything here, and 4% by everything. So what I can do is this. So since it is a profit percentage value that is going to be changing, I don't want the profit percentage value to be changing as I'm dragging it across the column. I don't want it to be changing. Or what am I trying to charge? Okay, I want it to be changing. Sorry, I want it to be changing as I'm dragging it across the column, but I don't want it to be changing down the row. So in that case, 7% multiplied by, let's do it for driver A first. So what is responsible for this 7% changing as I'm dragging it down the row is the row name for B2. So I'm going to log the row name. So if I drag it down, it's still going to be referencing that 2 for everything. But if I drag it across the column, I want it to be changing because I want it to be moving from B2 to C2 to D2 to E2. So I'm not going to log the column name for that. But for the other one, which is the B5, I want it to be changing as I'm dragging it across the column or down the row because the value for each driver is different for each day. So this is what I want to achieve. And this is the type of mixed referencing also. I'm looking at part of this a part of one of the cells that make up the formula. I'm not locking the other part. So this is an example of mixed referencing. So if I press enter now, I get my results. And if I drag this thing down the row, I'm getting my desired result. And across the column, I'm getting my desired result. So this is another example of um, mixed referencing. Okay, is there any question so far on mixed referencing, absolute referencing, and relative referencing for anyone before we move to the next one, which is 3D? Okay, Daniel,
Okay. Good evening, tutor.
good evening, sir.
Please, I don't know. The last practice you did just now, the misreferencing. Please, can you repeat a recap, or please take it a little bit slower, please?
For the driver, right?
Yeah, yeah. For everything for you, because for the absolute and the other
Relative.
referencing. I think we did mixed referencing here. Please, can you
Yeah.
just recap there and take it a little bit slower so we can get it?
Okay. All right. Okay. So for that now, yeah. So let me go. Let me come. Let me take it slower now. Now, this is the first example I cited. So the first example is this. I want to create a motivation table, and I want to achieve this by just creating a single formula and dragging the formula to the other cells just to like get my desired result. Now, this is my desire. This is what I want to achieve. This is my final result that I want to achieve. So I want motivation table one, motivation table two, motivation table three. That is one times one, one, one times two, two, one times three, three. Just normal motivation table. Now, for me to achieve that, I have to study how I can lock my cell or what type of referencing I can apply to achieve that. And for me looking at this problem now, I realized the perfect type of referencing that I can use for this is mixed referencing. And I also have already explained mixed referencing in the past that you just lock in a part of the cells that make up the formula or one of the cell, a part of one of the cells that make up. So that is mixed referencing. So in that case now, what I want to achieve is this one times one to get the result here. This one that I have here times two to get the result here. And this one that I have here times three to get the result here. And also, if I check it down the road too, this one that I have here, multiply this one to get my result here. This same one by two to get the result here. This same one by three to get the result here. Now, so when looking at it now, normally the relative referencing is when you create the relative referencing and you drag it across the column and down the row, the values that make up the cell or that make up the formula will be changing as you are dragging it. But in this case, I don't want some values to be changing as I'm dragging it. For example, this cell I11, I want to use this I11 for all the value here. So what is responsible for this I11 changing across the column is the column name, which is the I. The value is still under 11, so it's not going to change in any way. You understand? It's everything is still under row 11. It's not going to change as I'm dragging it. But what is going to be changing is as I drag it across the column is the value of the name of the column, like it's from I to J to K. So in that case, I'm going to log the column name by applying $sign to it for only this one. Now for the second one, what I want to achieve is I want to multiply this one by everything here to achieve the result here. Now the result for this one is still under column J. So it's not going to change. The column name is not going to change. But what is going to be changing as I'm dragging it down the row is the row name. That is going to be moving from 11 to 12 to 13. And I don't want that. So I'm going to lock only the row name for this one. And that's what makes this formula that we're about to write. I'm about to put on the screen now. Times, that's G11, G10. So that's that. So in this case, like I said, I'm locking I so that when I'm dragging across the column, it's not going to change. And how do you lock I is by applying $sign to the before the I. And for this one, I'm locking the row name, which is 10. So I'm going to be applying dollar sign to the row. This is an example of a mixed referencing now. So I press enter now and I apply the formula to the other cells. You can see I'm getting the desired results. 1 times 1, 1, 1 times 2, and 1 times 3. So also if I drag it down the row, I'm getting my desired result. That is 2 times 1, 2 times 2, 4, 2 times 3, 6, 3 times 3, 1, 3 times 1, 3, 3 times 2, 6, and like that. So this is the first example of mixed referencing. Now, it's not about maybe you knowing this particular formula, you can apply to other one. Yeah, it's good to have the understanding of the formula, but what is really important is the logic behind the creating of the formula. So when you understand the logic, if you have a problem or you have another thing that you want to do that is quite different from the example I've cited here, you can easily apply it to anything. Just understand the logic, then you can apply it to anything. Now, the second example I cited is this. I said I have 5 drivers that work for me. I have 5 drivers that work for me, driver A to driver E. And I have 5 buses that are distributed among the 5 drivers. Now, every day they take the bus out and make some money. So this is their daily amount, our daily transaction value that they get. So for driver A now for Monday, this is how much you make. Let's say let's just start like one date like that. So on Monday you make this amount, on Tuesday you make this amount, Wednesday you make this for all the drivers for Monday. Same goes for Tuesday, same goes for Wednesday and for Thursday. Now I want to calculate the profit that each, and I have a percentage that I charge on all of them for each day, and the profit percentage I charge for each day is not the same. They are different for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday and Thursday. So I want to calculate what is my total profit from all the drivers for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday, and for Thursday by just writing a single formula and dragging it to the other cells to generate all the value. Because normally I don't want to be typing the formula one after the other for all the drivers. It's time consuming and it's stressful. So in that case, I can use mixed referencing for that. So we're looking at this problem now. Since I'm multiplying this 7% by all the value here, then I'm multiplying this 8% by all the value here. That means I want my formula to be changing as I'm dragging it across the column. That is when you get to column B, use B2. When it comes to C, use C2, use D2 and E2. But as I'm dragging it down the row, I don't want the percentage to be changing. Because if the percentage is changing, it's not going to give me my desired result. So what I can do in this case is I'm going to log the row for the percentage value. So in this case, equals to B2 multiplied by the value. Now for the value, I don't have any concerns for the value, the transaction value, because if I drag it across the column or down the row, I want the value to be changing also. That's what I want. But for the percentage cell, I don't want it to be changing as I'm dragging it down the row. But across the column, it can change. So what is responsible for the percentage value changing down the row is the row name, which is 2. So I'm going to put dollar sign to 2 and press enter. So I get my result. I drag this down for the other one to get the percentage, and I can drag it to the other one to get the percentage for them. So this is the percentage value generated for all the driver for each day. And you can see this one, it is B2 times B5, C2 times C5, G2 times D5. So that's referencing. Okay. Daniel, hope you got that. Okay. So that's that about referencing. I have some people raising up their hands. We have Steven. Steven.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right. Thank you for your time. I need a clarification
Okay.
for this mixed referencing. When you apply it to the former multiplication table, you know, across the column we have 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
And you said you don't want it to be changing, right? That is the reason why you
Yeah.
locked it.
Yeah, that's why I logged the one of the cell. Yeah. I don't want the first one to be changing as I'm dragging across the column. Yes.
All right. Now
Yep.
for this case scenario, this driver case scenario,
Yeah.
the what will happen? The percentage, the profit or the profit percentage is not
Yeah.
the same across the column, right?
Yes.
Because but you chose not to lock it.
We lock it. You are not okay. You lock it. See, for example, now we lock it. Get the formula. Now,
All right.
the percentage is in everything is on column two, right? And it's quite different from each column. Like I have the percentage value for Monday on B2 and on C2 and on D2 and everything. So what I want to achieve is that as I'm dragging it across the column, I want you to be picking the different percentage value for each day. So that is why I didn't log the column name, which is B. So as I'm dragging it across the column, I want it to be changing from B2 to C2 to D2 to E2, which is different percentage for each day. But for the other one, which is the row, as I'm dragging out the value down the row, I don't want the percentage cell value to be changing from B2 to B3 because there's no other value in B3 and B4 like that. So that's how I have to log the row name for that one. And when we multiply it and apply it to the other one, it was our desired result.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I get it now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So now so that would be all for mixed referencing. I hope everybody have a like good understanding of mixed referencing. Although you might not get it all, but when you try it out, like in your own personal time, when you just try it out, I'm very, very sure you're going to like understand it. So Messi is raising up and Messi,
Good evening, everyone.
good evening.
So I just want to like, it's a question. I just want to get clarification on something. All
Okay.
of the um, what's it called? All of the things we'll be learning mostly, know it at once, or as times goes on with practices and everything, you get familiar with it, or you have to know everything. I'm
No.
just asking because it seems like before you can, get a job, you need to have hands-on, experience on some things. But how about people who don't have? I know you can work on basic projects on your
Yeah.
own rather, to get
Yeah.
better on things like this. So, what's
Yeah.
your idea? What do you suggest?
So you can't you don't know everything at once. No, it takes time. Do you understand now? Like I think that's the issue. A lot of people tend to like majority of people in data analytics have been doing data analytics for like let's say 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and they are still learning. Me also, before I started doing any form of like probably real life scenario practically, it takes me months. So I have to like take my time to like understand more of this, understand this concept and everything. So don't stress yourself about like probably you need to know everything now. No, you just have to like be consistent in your learning. You have where to go. So the whole essence of this thing is just you have a structured way of learning. So you know, okay, you know what to take first, you know what to take second, you know what to take third, and you can take it at your own convenience. But make sure you are taking it and you are taking it like you are progressing on it. It's not something that okay you have to achieve or you have to know video. No, 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 no. This referencing of a thing, I believe a lot of people might not get it now, but still you have the idea. You can go back to it and check it, and I'm very, very sure you're going to get it. So the more you practice on your own, the more you do this thing, the more you know, and it takes time. Time has to come into play into this. Just let it take it time, but just make sure you are diligent and you're consistent in your learning, and everything works out. Works out itself. That's just the way it works. Okay. So now the next one we talk about now is we talk about 3D referencing. I believe a lot of people. Okay, Christopher, see your hands up. Okay, so the next one we want to talk about now is 3D referencing. So 3D referencing is a type of referencing that involves more than one sheet. Let's say, for example, I wanted to create some formulas that involve multiple sheets. So that type of referencing is what we call 3D referencing, which we are quickly going to like dive in. So example is this. A very good example is this. Uh, I have sheet 6 and sheet 7. So in sheet 6 now, I have some values I have here, like 1 to 10. And if you check sheet 7 also, I have some values I have there. Now, if I wanted to have the values in sheet 6 and sheet 7 together and put my results in probably sheet 7 or sheet 8, then that type of referencing is what we call mixed, 3D referencing, because we are creating a formula that involves more than one sheet. So a very good example is this. So I want to put the answer on sheet 8. So I can just come in here, type in the formula. When you start anything, start with equals to sheet 6. You select the formula. You can see when I select sheet 6, it's saying sheet 6 exclamation mark A1. Then I go to the formula box here, type in the plot. Probably I'm adding or multiplying. I select sheet 7 also. You can see sheet 7 exclamation mark. Then you select the value you want to add, and that's A1. So sheet 6 A1 plus sheet 7 A1. If I press enter, I get my result here on sheet 8, and I can use relative references to get the other result for that one. And that's just that for 3D referencing. It's very easy and straightforward. Now, that's the first part of 3D referencing. The second part of 3D referencing is when you are creating a referencing that involves range. The example I cited in the class is this. Let's say, for example, now I have my business, and I want to create a automated formula now whereby as I'm imputing my value, or as my sales rep are imputing the value into it, the value is going to be adding up itself, and I don't have to be coming every time to be creating the formula to be adding everything together. No. So I want to create a sales that is going to add up the total sales for a particular month. So, and I want it to be adding up week by week. Currently, let's say I'm in week 1 of the month now. So I just want to create a formula so that as I'm adding the new week, the formula is going to be updating itself. So what I can do in this case is I'm going to create the starting week and the ending week. So the starting cells and the starting sheet and the ending sheet for my formula is week 1 and week 4. So that's the beginning of the week of the month is week 1 and the ending of the month is week 4. So in that case, I created week 1. Yeah, I mean week 1, I've already have some sales for week 1 and it's populated under this column A. But I don't have any sales for week 4 yet. But I want to create a formula as I'm adding the other week. It's going to be populating itself under the total sales sheet. So what I need to do is just to come to that sales sheet. So in this case now, I'm going to be using the mathematical function known as sum, because in this case, I'm dealing with range. And when you are dealing with range of value, it is best for you to use a function. So if I'm using a range now, what I mean by range is this. Let's say I have a value like 3, 4. Let me see example of a range. So now I have cell G2. So this cell G2 to G what's it called now? G10 is a range of cells. Now, if I want to add everything up together, I won't be doing it one after the other, like using maybe equals to G1. No, that doesn't work. Plus G2. No. So what I need to do is I will use the mathematical function known as the sum. And sum can take in the range of the value. So sum. So what you need to state is the starting cell, which is G2. You put the column G2 to G10. Now, and it's going to add up everything that is in between. Like every value that is in between G2 to G10 is going to add everything up. So that's one of the advantages of range and using function. So that type of logic is what I want to add to this formula I'm about to create now. So I want to create a formula in form of range of sheets, whereby if I create a range of sheets now, any value that I imputed between the range of sheets is going to be adding up together. So for example, now I already have my starting week and my ending week, which is week 1 and week 4. So what I can do is just come to the total sales where I want to add the formula, and I will click on week 1, which is the first sheet that I want to add, and I select A1, which is the value cells that contain the value I want to add. I hold down the shift key and I click on the last sheet, which is week 4. If you check the formula bar now, it's doing week 1 to week 4, not week 1 and week 4. It's week 1 to week 4. That means anything that comes in between week 1 and week 4 is going to be adding them up in the total sales. You understand now? So if I close the brackets now and I press enter, then I get my value. Then I can use referencing for this to get the other one. Now, if you check the week 1, this is the value that I have in week 1. It's the same thing that I have on the total sales because I don't have value for the other cells. So I just have to click on week 1, add the cell. So if I want to add a cell after week 1, then I have to select week 1, click on the plus, add a sheet, click on week 1, then click on the new sheet button. So now this week, I've added a new sheet in between week 1 and week 4. So I'm going to call this one week 2. So if I add any value to week 2 now, if I check my cell, it's going to populate the value in the total sales. So let's check our total sales now. It has already populated. You can see the first one is 3 plus 4. Sorry, 3 plus 4, and that's 7. And that's the logic behind this thing. So if I want to add week 3 to, it's going to come after week 2. Then I press the plus button, and any value that I had to week 3 also is going to like add it up, and you can have the total sales in between, total sales on the total sales sheet. You can create that for maybe month of the year or anything, but that's the logic behind that one, and that's an example of 3D referencing. Okay. So, Adegoye is raising up his hands.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, the question here is that the missed referencing, like the
Yeah.
3D, I mean the 3D cell referencing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not getting it very well. Like I lost my connection like some minute ago, so I was just
Ah.
joining back the meeting.
Okay. This is the thing now. We are going to like, cause of our time. We have a lot of things that we want to cover, but we made the
Yeah,
video available. How
okay,
about that? We made the
okay,
video available because of the time. We
okay.
have time.
Then
All
if
right.
I have any question, I can ask after the
You can
video.
ask. Yeah, you can. You
Okay,
can ask. You can ask. You can ask.
okay,
Okay.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. So, let's quickly go to the other part. So, I won't actually be talking about. So I think self-referencing is one of the major things that we really need to understand. I won't be talking about sort and filter. I don't think anybody has a question on sort and filter. Do anybody have a question on sort and filter for video because of our time? Do anybody have any question on sort and filter? Please, you can drop your question in the comment section for sort and filter because I'm planning on skipping that part for today because of the time. All those mathematical functions also, we don't really have much question on it. But what about conditional formatting? Is anybody clear on conditional formatting also? Or do you have any question? Okay. Yeah. Akuma is raising up his hands. You can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I I have this issue when I'm probably working on a sheet or something. Take for example, you have like 10 rows
Okay.
and you have a column, yeah, that shows the total of each of them
Okay.
at the end. Also like an average.
Okay.
Check if each of the cell in the 10 rows, let's say you have 10 column, 10 rows, that's better. 10 column, 10 rows.
Okay.
At the end,
Okay.
let's say the 11th column is showing the total, the 12th column
Okay.
is showing the average.
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to make it like each row, you want to be able to check if each value in each cell of the row is either less or more than the average. If it is less, probably display a black font. If it is sorry, if it is less, red font. If it is normal or the same, black font. You get just like flag the value. It's less than the
Okay.
average.
So flag the
Now my
value based
question
on.
is
Okay. Yeah.
exactly. Now my
Yeah.
question is, let's say you have like 100 rows now.
Yeah.
How can you do that kind of thing without wasting time? Because I always try to like do it for the first second, then copy the the formatting rule, they paste
Okay.
it, but it's not always working.
So I get your point now. So in that case, actually we can also use, it depends on what you are using. You can use conditional formatting for that because you wanted to like let you like, okay, format these cells if this condition is met, and do this if condition is met. And you won't just want to create a formula whereby it's going to apply everything to the other cells, right? Is that what you ask?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so for example, let's just try something with our conditional formatting. Now, so we are now on conditional formatting. Nobody has any question on sort and filter. Okay, someone is raising up Isn't you can go ahead before I take the question. I think you can go ahead. You're raising up your hand. Okay. Provision. So now let's try that. Since everybody is clear on sort and fit, and let's just dive into conditional formatting with that question. Now, conditional formatting. So let's try this. For example, will I use this? Okay, let me cite this as an example now. So one of the things, let me just do one of these things is this. So let's say, for example, now I want to format a row based on this unit cell. So I want you to give me format the row, or I like the row that is when the unit price is greater than a particular range. Let's say, for example, when the unit price is greater than 200, I want you to format the row that the unit price is greater than 200. That's one way that I'm going to come in to answer this question. So in that case, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to highlight the whole cell first that contains the whole value that I wanted to highlight, because I want to highlight every row that meets that particular criteria for this unit price. So if the unit price is greater than 200, I highlight the whole row. So I'm going to highlight all of the tables I want to highlight. So after doing that, you come to conditional formatting. So under the conditional formatting, you won't use any of these things. So what you are going to do is go to new rule. So under the new rule, you are going to create your own formula. So you are going to use formula to determine which cells to format. Now, this is where you write your formula. You can see formula values where the formula is true. So you are going to type in your formula here now. So what I want to do for this is this. I want you to format the row that this particular cell, which is the unit price, this particular cell unit price is greater than 200. In this case now, you notice that when I select the E2, it's locking both the cells and the column of the E2. That's absolute referencing. Do you get that? And in this case, I want you to apply to all the other cells, other row. So what is responsible for the row changing is the what? Is the row name. So I'm going to remove my $sign from the row name. You understand now? So the row is no more locked. So if I create this formula now and I click OK, it's going to apply to the other row also. But the column is still locked. So in this case, greater than, then I'm going to put greater than 200. So that's my formula. Format all the rows that the unit price is greater than 200. Okay. So I click OK. Then I have to select my formatting styles. Okay, do I want to use number, or do I want to use bold, font size, border, or anything? We are using field. Let's just say I'm using field. So in this case,
Your screen is not showing, please. Oh, we can't see the screen.
Man, sorry about that.
I was surprised too. I needed to join without.
Like
Same
since
thing, yes.
when you
Same
started,
thing,
it has
yes.
not been shown.
When you
It has not
started,
been
yes,
showing.
yes, exactly.
Okay, sorry
Yes, when
about that.
started.
Yeah, I
Thank
can
you.
see the screen. No,
Okay. Let me try.
I can actually see the screen.
You can see the screen from there. What's not going on?
We
Okay,
can only
wait,
see
hold on.
the text
You can only
screen,
screen the
I
note.
think.
The
The
note, not
first
what was doing.
sheet,
Like
I
it's
mean.
not moving.
Okay,
It was
let's do
where
that.
you stopped before.
Can you all see my screen now? I have a sales data set that has to do with product and everything. Can everyone see it?
Yes,
Yes, we can see
I
it
can
now.
see now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes.
Now, so let me take the question back. So what I want to achieve now is this. I want to format a row that met a particular criteria. And the criteria is this. Format the row, all the rows that the unit price is greater than 200. And I want to format it with like something, probably a color. So I like the row that the unit price is greater than 200. Now, I can use conditional formatting for this, which is one of the best things I'm going to use. So in doing that, I can just select all the cells that I want to format first. Select everything. You have to select all your range of cells that I want to format. Then we are using conditional formatting for this. So when you get to conditional formatting, you are not using any of these highlight cells rules or top bottom or anything like that. What we want to do now is we want to create a new row. So I'm going to click on create new row. And this rule I'm creating now, I'm using a formula. I want to create my own formula, like so that you use my own formula, my own logic to format the cells that I want. And you can tweak your formula to whatever you want. So in this case, my formula is format all the cells or highlight all the cells that the unit price is greater than 200. So my major concern is the unit price column. So I'm going to use a formula to determine which cells to format. Then this is where I'm going to write in my formula. I'm going to select the cell like this to write in my formula. So the formula is, the condition is format the cells where the unit price is greater than 200. Now I select the 4 cells of the unit price, which is the E2. Now in this case, the E2 is locked. That is, both the row and the column is locked. That means it's only referencing the cell E2. Meanwhile, I want to reference all the unit price column. So what is responsible for that is me just removing my $sign in front of the row name, which is the 2, for the formula to apply to the other cells. So I have to remove the $sign in front of E2, in front of 2. Then I can leave the E locked, because what is responsible for the condition applying to the other row is the row name. So I have to leave it locked. So in that case, then I have to put my question. So when E2 is greater than 200, that's it. That's my logic. When E2 is greater than 200, format it. So I've already created my formula. Then I choose my format, what I want it to use. So let's say I'm using a color. I'm using this light green. So I select the light green and I click OK. Now, if I click OK now, you can see it's formatting all the cells that the unit price is greater than, all the rows that the unit price is greater than 200. Do you get that? So that is one of the ways of using this thing for say. And for the other one that the person asked, let's say I have the average something here. Probably this is the average. You can create the average column probably in this side or that side, whatever it is, probably on the row. So let's say this one is the average price. You can just find the average, this thing, like let me just divide everything by something. Let's say divided by 4 or something. Now I can use this cell to I can use this particular column to apply conditional formatting or to highlight the cells based on what I want, based on my condition. And what you need to do is just make sure you don't leave the row name locked. You don't leave the row name locked, state your condition, you select your format, and you click OK, and automatically all the cells that met that criteria will be highlighted just for you. That is one way to use conditional formatting to do all these things. Do I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. I think what you mentioned about the cell being locked, I've
Yeah,
never
is
actually
what.
taken note of that.
Okay, that's where the
Yeah,
problem is actually coming from. Yeah, you can look into that.
thank you.
You're welcome. So you can see that's one of the advantage of cell referencing. All these things are like, they are just like a building block. That's why we have to take it from there. So when you understand all these things, so when you actually create a formula or something and you made a mistake, you can easily know where the mistake is coming from. So now that's that about conditional formatting. Do I have any questions on conditional formatting from anyone? Let me check my comments. Yeah, we are seeing the screen now. Do everybody have any question on conditional formatting? I think that's all. So now let's go to the next one, which is data validation. Data validation. Okay. So I already explained data validation. So all these things I'm explaining now, that I'm explaining here, is actually needed for the assignment. Everything I'm explaining here is actually needed for the assignment. So data validation in Excel is a feature that allows you to control what can be entered into cells or range of cells. Now, data validation is one of the features I really like in Excel because it saves you from cleaning data or getting irrelevant data from probably your colleague or someone that you share your sheet with. Sometimes if I share the sheet with a colleague to input some data, some of them just mess up the whole sheet and input some things, some wrong things. So it's just for me to be able to restrict them from inputting the wrong thing. That's one of the advantage of data validation. So now, how does this thing work? So we have different thing on data validation. For example, now, let's say I wanted to create a cell whereby that contains my maybe salary or something, or that contains value. So I needed to like share my sheet with my colleague at work to collect some data and then do some data about our transaction value or something like that. In that sales, I don't want the sales to be probably I don't want them to enter any value that is outside the range of the value that we needed. So what I need to do is just first of all, I will highlight the cell. So you highlight the cell you want to apply a data validation to, come to the data tab here and select data validation. So data validation here, you click on it. So when you check data validation, you notice that it's showing any value. That's why Excel can take in any value. So if you input text, a number is going to take it. So in this case, I can set up, okay, probably it's whole number or decimal number. You can choose from all these things. Whole number. So what I want you to enter in this cell is a value between 10 and 20. So any value that is outside 10 and 20 is seen as irrelevant data or incorrect data. So I'm going to say, okay, between 10 and 20. So I'm setting my data validation at 10 and 20, sorry. And I click OK. So for this now, anybody that enters a value that is outside the range that I stated in this data validation, Excel is not going to take it. If I put in 9, it's going to take it. Okay, it's not going to take it because 9 is outside, is below the value. 9 is below the value. And if I put in 10 now, no, it's taking 10. And if I put in 14, it's taking 14. So anything that is outside the range of the value that I stated is not going to take it. That's one of the advantages of data validation. So you can also do that for whole number, decimal number, or anything. So that will work. So let's check another example of data validation because of our time. So you can also set it for whole number. Just take your range. It can be greater than. So when you select your whole number, you can select from data range, maybe greater than, equals to, less than, equals to, depending on the criteria you want to set there. And you cannot put in the value. So the next one we talk about is the length. Text length usually is used for like when you're entering probably your phone number or account number. I get that a lot. Whereby you send in you create an Excel sheet and you send it to probably customers to enter their phone numbers or their account number, and they tend to like enter incorrect value. And that can cause you a lot of stress, whereby you have to now be looking for the person that input the value and start calling him and asking all this. So in order to save you all the stress, you can just select create a data validation text like that. Okay, the minimum the text length or the digit length that you can enter for this particular cell is 10. So anything that is less than or greater than 10 is not going to take it. So when the person is inputting the wrong value, they will know from the end that, okay, why is this not taking it? They can easily just check through and input the correct value. So that's text. I can say text length greater than or equals to, majority of times. Let me just say 5. Let's say my account number is 5 now. So if I put anything that is not 5 here, it's not going to take it. If I put in 5 now, 7, 8, it's taking it. So that is data validation. And another thing I explained about data validation is that the restriction of data validation, you can do the the restriction settings from here. So when you come to data validation, okay, I've selected. So when it comes to data validation, under the error alert, so when you select stop is not going to take anything. Stop is not going to take anything. Are you all with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Stop is not going to take anything. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
When you use
Yes.
stop, no matter the number of times you enter the wrong value, it's not going to take it. But warning is going to warn you that, okay, this thing that you are inputting is wrong. Do you want to proceed? It's still going to take it. Why information is not going to take anything? Information is still going to take it, but it's going to give you information about the type of data you should enter there. So you can customize your information by typing the title and the error message and just select that. And another thing for this data validation is the list. So when you are creating a list, it's like you are creating a drop-down list, whereby people will have to select from the drop-down list. And I think this list saves a lot of people from a lot of stress. So they don't have to enter a wrong value. So let's say, for example, I want to create a list of things that they should enter. So I have to, okay, sorry. So I have to select this thing, create a list. Probably this is the list of this thing. So I select the range from this to this. That's my list range. Then I click OK. So what this one is as like, so it's going to be whenever I click on the cell, it's going to give me the range of the list that I created, so I can select from it. So if I try to enter anything that is outside this list, it's not going to take it. It's not going to take it. Sorry. Okay, so that's that. It's not going to take it. Now, that is for data validation. That is that for data validation. So now, you can now tweak this data validation to do anything that you want to do, probably to a list of values or anything like that. But the whole thing is just to understand the logic, and you can just apply it to any way, anywhere you can apply it in your day-to-day activities in the office or your analysis in the office. So that is that about data validation. So now for this, let's go to the next part. We talk about data validation. We talk about define name range. The name range is actually quite easy, and I don't think that one is actually we talk about the statistical functions. Now we talk about this text. Now next one is to the advanced Excel function. So the advanced Excel function, we are not going to be covering everything because of our time. So we are going to be probably asking questions from people to know what to treat, like the part that they don't really understand. Then we can focus on that part rather than just taking it from beginning to the end. Okay, Ellen, you are raising up your hand. Ellen, okay. Let me see Olua.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. I would like to ask, are you going to take us through the assignment that
Take you through what I can hear you.
the assignment.
Yes. Yeah, actually, assignment is going to be. We are going to treat the assignment tomorrow. You understand now? You know, we have 2 sessions. So today, but if not, we start the assignment tomorrow. Yeah, but we are going to go to the assignment definitely.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, David, you have questions? I see you raise your hands. Okay. Ellen, do you raise up your hands too? Okay. So that shows that one of us understood the text function parts. Yeah. And so the only part that I would like to take us again is the lookup functions. Since you understand the text, I think that one is cool. Okay, it's fine. We got the assignment. We extend the time for the assignment. Okay. David Mercy, you want to ask a question concerning the assignment? Okay. Let me hear you before we go to the next one. David, I can hear you. Okay, since there's no other questions, let's just dive into the lookup functions and let's talk about lookup functions. Then we can now take it to the assignment. Now, in our class, we talk about 3 types of lookup functions, which is very, very important that you need to know. Sorry about this. So we have the X lookup, we have the V lookup, we have the H lookup. Now, V lookup and H lookup are more or less like the same thing. So what they do is this: they tend to look up a value from a large table. Let's say I have my sales information here, like the sales ID, CID, the customer name, the age, and the gender, the city. So if I receive a complaint from a customer and I wanted to know the city that the customer is calling us from. I can use a lookup function to like look up the city of the customer. And before I can look up information about a customer, I must have a lookup value like this. What is the lookup value? Is like what you see as a uh search value. So I must have a value that I'm going to use to search that. Okay, search for this particular person. Just like when you have a library now and you have a very large library, you can arrange your library in alphabetical order, whereby if you need a book, you don't have to go to like, probably you need a book that starts with A. You don't have to go to W to like to go and be looking for the book that starts with A. So that's an example. So the lookup value in this case is the CID. So I can use the customer ID to look up the information of the customer. Now, VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. What really brings about the lookup, the VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP is the arrangement of the table I'm looking up. For example, now this table is arranged vertically. You can see, and when he's doing his own looking, he's going to be looking from up to down vertically. That's why we use VLOOKUP. So if the table is arranged horizontally, like if I can transpose the other one, let's say, what can I transpose here that is not going to take much time? Okay, let's say I have something like this. I have something like this. Copy it. So if I transpose this cell now, transpose is changing the orientation of the table. So I click on transpose here. You can see that it has changed it from row. So in this case now, this value is arranged horizontally. So when the value is looking, it's looking from left to right horizontally. So the arrangement of the table is what determines whether you are using HLOOKUP or VLOOKUP. So in this case now, I'm using VLOOKUP because I want to look up, okay, I want to look up the customer city using the customer ID. So when you are typing lookup, the first thing is VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP, the lookup value is this. Probably I'm going to put my lookup value in this cell, so I can just select the cell, empty cell. This is where I'm going to be entering my lookup value. G3, comma, the table array, that is the table you are looking up the value from, is from all these things that I have here. So I do that. Then I click on comma. Now the next one is, what is the column index of the value I'm looking up? The column index is like, what is the column index from the table that you selected? This one, the CID is the column 1, the customer name is column 2, the age is column 3, the gender is column 4. What I'm looking for is city. City is on column 5. So the column index of city is 5. So I put in 5. Then it's asking for exact and approximate match. Okay. I think this is another thing that I don't really talk much about. Now, what I'm looking for is exact match. Okay, give me the exact match of the lookup value. In this case, I'm going to select exact as false. And I press enter. Now it's showing NA. So if I put in a CID into the lookup value, now let's say I put C007. Now it's not giving. Okay, sorry, it's COO. I'm typing O, not C007. Now it's giving me New York. So if you check the city for this particular customer, it's New York. So I can also change this one to like, okay, probably I change it to C. Is there anything like C11? Yeah, C11. Showing Boston. And if you check here now, it's showing Boston. So that is the lookup function. So it's looking up the value by, it's looking up the variable that the city using the customer ID. That is VLOOKUP. And one thing about lookup that I want you to get is this. Whenever you are doing lookup looks from left to right. It search from left to right. Like it's going to be searching from left to right. So if I have any value behind or before the lookup value column, for example, the lookup value column is CID. If I have any value that probably I have a value here, I have a value that comes before the CID. Like let's say the customer, the amount of goods that the customer bought. So if I have it before the CID, it's not going to look it. Because the way the lookup works is this: it checks from the left to the right. So it's going to be looking from the left of the lookup value to the right of the lookup value column. Like it's searching from this side to this side. It doesn't look back. So that's one of the limitation of VLOOKUP, and same goes for HLOOKUP too. And that's that. So another, let's check the HLOOKUP also. So for HLOOKUP, what actually changed in HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP is that one is column indexed, but this one is row indexed. So let's say, for example, now I want to know the type of phone or the operating system of a particular product ID. So I want to look up what is the operating system of a particular product ID. So in this case now, I'm going to write in my formula equals to, I'm using HLOOKUP now, HLOOKUP, and the lookup value, let me say, is going to be in these cells. Comma, the table array, select everything, and now, okay, before I get there, comma, and the next one is row index. What is the row index of operating system? The row index is row 4. You can see row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4. So I pick 4, then I select, is it exact or approximate match? So I'm looking for exact match. So I press enter. And I get my value. So if I put in any PID, let's say P003, then we get Android, which is correspond to it. So that is HLOOKUP. Now the next one is XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is actually the
Sorry, can I ask a question?
All right.
Yeah,
you can. Go ahead.
Sorry for bringing up that. What if it's in a situation whereby we have up to 80 rows, and what we are actually looking for is in probably 55 rows? Are we going to count it one after the other to know the exact row it falls to?
Yeah, you have to know the exact rows it falls to. Yes, you have to do that. So probably before you write the formula, you have to go through the row and see the rows that it falls to. Then you have to take note of that because you need the row index before you can create the formula. Do you understand?
Yes.
So that, yes. So that is that. Now another thing is XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is like a brother of HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. Yes, and it's actually much more, to me, I discard VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. I just use XLOOKUP, but it's better for you to have understanding of all these things so that you can know what's the difference. Now, for XLOOKUP, XLOOKUP can look to the left or to the right. No matter where you are looking at, it can check anything out. Let's say, for example, now I have this value now. Let me just copy this average X and put it here. This is question. Let's just leave it that way. So I have here now, and I want to create an XLOOKUP. So equals to XLOOKUP. Now these are the parameters that XLOOKUP taking. First of all, the lookup value. Let's say the lookup value is going to be in this cell. So the lookup array is this O table. Okay, sorry. The lookup array is the array you wanted to like set your distance from. So for example, I can say, okay, my lookup array is this. That's the column that contains the lookup value. Okay, so from this part. Now, the next one we want to put in is the return array. That is, what is the array of column that you want to return? That is why XLOOKUP is much more better than what is it called now? It's much more better than H and VLOOKUP. For XLOOKUP, briefly, because of the time. So I said one of the advantages of XLOOKUP is this: it can look towards the right and the left of the lookup array to pick up value. And in XLOOKUP, you don't have to take probably the column index or the row index before you can get your value, like V and HLOOKUP. It's actually much more advanced than that. So how do we create this XLOOKUP? We started by using the XLOOKUP functions. So the first thing is asking for the lookup value. Lookup value is a cell that is going to contain for the that you want to use as your search pattern or anything to look up the value. So I'm going to be using this G column as my lookup value. That's where I'm going to input my lookup value. Now the lookup array. So that's the lookup column. So I'm selecting the lookup array, comma, the return array. So this is why XLOOKUP is different. So you can select your lookup array, your return array, instead of using column index. It allows you to select your return array, like the column you want it to return. So for example, now I want it to return the average price column. Now the next one is, if this value is not found, what do you want it to do? So I want it to return none. Because normally in XLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, it returns what's it called now? Error message like NA, and that one can mess up the whole thing. So you want to compute your distance. So I'm going to put it none. So I have to do that. Now he's asking for, is it exact match or approximate match? So we are using exact match, then close the brackets. So because of the formula. So everything is showing on now. So if I put in a value here now, because that one is a table, that's why I'm showing that way. Let's say I use P003. Then I'm getting the value for this one. Do you understand now? So P03 is showing that, okay, for this P03, the average value is what? Is 162.25. And that's how that one works. Other ones, they are empty because there is no what? There is no value there. That's why I'm showing none. And that's our return value if the value is not found. So that is X lookup, and that is one way you can apply this to your day-to-day activity. Now, let's now look at some of the advanced parts or how you can apply this, all these VLOOKUP, XLOOKUP that I've been talking about so far. Now, an example is this. While I was explaining this thing, I have three tables here. I have the product table, I have the customer table, and I have the sales table. In real sense of it, this is the way our database is structured normally. This is the way our database is structured, or our table is structured. Sometimes, although a lot of people get privileged to work with all the data that they needed in just one Excel sheet, but most times the data you needed is spread in multiple sheets. Probably, okay, region A information, region B information, region C information. So you have to find a way to bring all these information together for you to be able to analyze. Now, for example, now I have the product information here, I have the customer information, and I have the sales information. Let's say I want to carry out analysis on the sales now. Probably I wanted to know the total product that is bringing in the sales, or the total customer that is bringing in the sales, or the total gender of customers that is bringing in the sales. I don't have the information yet, but I have the information under the customer and the product table. So how can I bring that information from customer and product table to the sales table? So I can use lookup to do that. So and how can I apply lookup to that? Okay. So I can apply lookup to that. So this is a very good example now. So I come to the sales. Now I have the sales ID. Before you can bring in a column or try to like look up a value from one table to the other table, there must be a kind of like a connection between the two tables. So I can't actually bring up a value from one table to other table without a connection between the table, like something that join them together, like a form of a connection. For example, now under the sales table, I have the sales ID, I have the product ID, and I have this customer ID, and I have the quantity. So if I wanted to bring in the product information into the sales table, I can bring in the product information by using the product ID, since they both have product ID, product ID. Do you understand that? Yeah, okay. So now how do I do that now? I can use VLOOKUP for this. So in that case now, since I want to bring in my product table now, I want to bring in the probably, let's say I want to bring in the brand of the product to the operating system, to the sales table, so that I can analyze data based on the brand or operating system. So what I can do now is write VLOOKUP. So the lookup value that I'm using, since I'm looking at the product table, I'm going to use PID, comma, the table array of the product. So you have to select the table array of the product. Let me just select everything here. So you follow this. So I've selected everything from the array of the table. So you follow the formula box, comma. So the next thing is asking for the column index. So I'm bringing in the brand. The column index of brand from the table I selected is 2. Because I started my selection from PID. So you started counting from where you start your selection, not the whole table. I didn't select average column. I started from PID. So you started your counting from the from where you start your selection. So brand falls on column 2 for my selection. I'm selecting column 2. Then it's asking whether I'm looking for exact or approximate match. I'm looking for exact match. I press enter and I press this. So you can see automatically the cells are populated for that one. Then I have the information for the product. So I can go ahead and analyze the data based on the what? Based on the brand now. That is one of the advantage of using VLOOKUP each lookup for looking up information from one table. Although when you get to advanced data analysis, you don't have to do all these things. That is where the data modeling comes in. You know, for example, now when you get to Power BI, you linking up your data together, like connecting them together. That's an example. That's what you are going to be doing that. But for Excel, if you are going to be working with Excel, you have to use this VLOOKUP function or HLOOKUP or XLOOKUP to do all these things. So okay. Do I have anybody with any questions? Any question from anyone? Okay, you can go ahead. Raise up his hands. Okay, Festus, you can go ahead.
Yes,
Questions
I
and
actually want to say thank you in the first place. Well, I was actually practicing this actually, but I think that the most effective way that maybe most of us can get this is when we put our hands to practice. Maybe that is actually can aid more understanding. So,
hello, hello.
I read. Hello,
You were saying
can you hear
effective
me?
way, yeah. Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Yes, I said I think the effective way for us to actually learn faster about this is just maybe when we put our hand into practice. When we practice it on our own, then we can
Exactly.
actually have more understanding about
That's
it
just
too.
that's
Although
it.
I with everything I just doing right now, I've actually watched it and I've put it to practice actually. But now power
Yeah.
supply sometimes.
Yes, yes,
So
yes, yes.
I get it. I think where you stop is actually where I stopped when the light was off. So
Okay.
I think the other one is actually a little bit harder for me. Don't let me just say it that way. But
What
I
what part
think maybe
what
uh
part is
the
harder?
the um the lookup stuff, something like that. That is where I started mixing things up.
Yeah.
Before I was stuck there. I was stuck there.
Okay, okay. So, like you said, actually, thank you for that. That's a very good contribution. Like you said, it's about practicing. Yes. Now, the whole thing of this thing is to, it's like we're having a building block now. We are building on something. So you just have to build and add up on that thing that you are building. So the more you practice this thing, actually, it's more of like practicing. But the reason why we are bringing all these things and doing all these things, like if you don't know what you want to practice on, you won't know where to start from. So you already have the knowledge that is needed for you to be able to like carry out these things. This is the basic knowledge. That's why we are taking our time to just talk about some of the basic things of data analytics that a lot of people just ignore. Because I feel like these things that a lot of people ignore is what actually make you or make up a great analyst. So if you have the basic understanding, you can easily just like do some research on your own and you get your answer. You can even go to YouTube to get some things and you get the answer. But if you don't have the basic understanding, it's very, very hard to go to YouTube and get anything from it. That is why we are building on it. So, like you said, it's more of like practicing. The more you practice, the more you get these things. And you have to be consistent about the practicing. You have to really consistent about it. So the more you do, the more you know. Please don't let it take a time, like in a week or a day. If like it's 1 hour in a day that you can just devote to like this data analytics thing, make sure you are consistent about that 1 hour, like a day in a week. Just keep doing that, and the more you do, the more you know. And you are going to get some error along the way. Error is part of the error is part of the learning process. Like it's part of
Yeah,
it.
that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
So the more error you get, the more you know. So if you get error today and you get it right, you can't make the same error the next day. It's impossible. And
Yes, yes.
that's just the thing. So that's all.
Thank you.
So you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
You're welcome. So any other questions? Any other question as regard this part? Any other question as regard the VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP?
I still have a question. I think it's concerning the assignment. I've actually talked to Toby about it. I think someone was actually asking the other time saying, "Is this assignment being graded?" Something like that. So we really want to
Okay.
know more about it so that we can actually work on it.
Yeah, it's gonna be graded actually. I've seen a lot of people assignment. A lot of people have like did a lot of beautiful work, and yeah, a lot of people like reach out that probably they are stuck in a particular area. But yeah, the assignment is gonna be graded. So let's just put in our energy. And I know a lot of people are putting the energy, the effort, and I really appreciate that. That means like you are really following and really want to like get the best out of this, and that is how to do this thing. So yeah, I get a lot of
Okay.
responses. I get a lot of people assignments, and I'm actually expecting more assignments. So the time is still open for you to submit your assignment. You can still submit your assignment. Please let's do that.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. So Akua is asking some question. He said, how can we use lookup functions when we are to find the sum average of different cells with same ID? Of the same ID. Now, to use lookup to find what you use lookup to find is a cell that a value that already exists. Now, this is how lookup works now. So, for example, now, if I have a value here, I have some value, a table like this. So, for me to use lookup, the value must already exist. So, if I'm looking up the brand of what is the brand of maybe product ID is this, I already have the value created in the table. So, what am I is just like a way of searching. But for that question that you asked, I feel like probably like if you are using some if or you are getting the video, do I answer your questions? Are you getting my answers? Do you have any other question as you get that? So for you to get the average of different cells with the same ID, you can use some ID for average, some if for average if. So some if for average if will allow you to get, okay, some if the ID is equal to this, then it's going to some other particular range. So that's some if, not actually lookup. Okay. So an example of that is this. Okay, I'm going to get to that Akuma very, very soon. I'm going to show you an example for that some if and everything, because actually we talk about that and it's part of the thing we need to talk about. So where are we submitting the assignment? Yeah, I think we already shared the email. Everything analytics has already been sent it to the mail. So you have to send the assignment to the mail. Okay, how can we do average or some if? So okay, we have two questions on some if and average if. When is the assignment deadline? Assignment deadline is before tomorrow, like West African time, 12 p.m. midnight today. So that's when you have to submit your assignment. So now let me do the sum if and the average if so that we can get a better understanding of that one. Okay, Steven, you're raising up your hands. Do you have a question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just need a clarification between conditional formatting and VLOOKUP. Since you said VLOOKUP is basically used to search for an existing cell. Now, can't the operation I want to use VLOOKUP for, can't I use conditional formatting to get it?
Okay, now thank you for that. Now, one thing about conditional formatting is like conditional formatting is formatting in place. Let's say, for example, now I have like 100 rows of data sets, 100 rows of data sets, and 100,000 rows of data sets. And the rows that met my particular criteria is probably on row 99,000. No, it's very, very hard for you to keep scrolling up and down to be looking for the particular cell. But one thing about lookup is this: you just have to put in a search pattern and it's going to give you the value, like just like that in your cell. And another thing about lookup is this: you can look up a value in different sheets. For example, now let's say I am writing my formula in sheet 5 and I'm looking up the table in sheet 6. I can easily do that. I can't do that with conditional formatting. Everything has to be in place before I can use conditional formatting. Do you get that?
Yes, thank you. I got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So okay, so someone is actually volunteering, so he's volunteering that if you have any question, you can reach out to him. So let's go to some if and do some example before because of our time. So I would like to use a table that is, so this is an example of, let me delete all these things I have here. Okay, now I have some variable here now. Let me bring this thing like this, sorry. Now I have a unit price and I have the operating system. Let's say, for example, now I want to know the total unit price or average unit price for operating system Android. That is where some ifs or average ifs comes in. When you are adding your up a cell based on a particular condition or criteria. So add up the cells that meet up this particular condition. That's what some if is all about. So add up the cells that meet up a particular what? A particular criteria. So I'm not adding up the whole cell. I just want to add up a cells that meet this criteria. So in this case, add up the unit price for operating system Android. So how do I do that? So I'm going to select equals to some if. So when you type in some if, we have some if and some ifs. Some if is when you have just a single condition that you are using to add up a value. If you have multiple conditions, then you use some ifs. You know, ifs is like multiple conditions. So for some if now, so the thing is this, the range that is asking for is the range of your condition column, like the range of the condition state column. For example, now I want to apply the condition on the operating system, so I have to select this. So selecting everything, this is the range of my condition. So the condition is what I'm using the product operating system as my work condition. So what is the criteria? If this is equals to what? Android. So I type in Android there. So if this operating system is equal to Android, then add up the what? Then add up. So the next one is the sum range. Then add up the unit price. You select the unit price. So this one is going to add up the unit price for only Android operating system alone. You close the bracket. Then you have it here. So let's try and check it together. And let's do a kind of like a maybe small calculation. So I do sum. So for Android, I'm adding up this one. You understand? Comma. Then I'm adding up what's another Android I have here, and adding up this one, comma. Then I'm adding up this one, comma. And I'm adding up this one, comma. And I'm adding up this one, comma. So if I press enter now, you can see I'm getting the answer, which is 3,792. Sorry, this one is not there. F4 to F to wait. Let me put this thing outside here. Hold on. It's not supposed to be here. So you can just put it here. And sum. And comma 200, comma 100, comma 100, comma 100. Then we get our answer. You can see that is correct. So same goes for average if also. So for average if, they are going to have average if. So I'm going to find the average of the unit price. So find the average of unit price if the operating system is still low, it's still Android. So I can just select everything here. And the condition is that if the operating, you have to put this in quotes because you know it's a text. It has to be Android. Then the next one is, okay, what am I adding up together if it's Android? That's the average range. So this is the range that is adding up. And that is that 494. Do we get that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is where average ifs. So this thing goes with average ifs, some ifs, can't ifs, any form of ifs that is added to it. You just have to like, okay, put the condition, then you put the range that you're adding up together. And that is how it works. So okay. So another thing is if you have multiple conditions, you understand? To add with yes, you use sign with it. Okay, Kolawole, I didn't get that question. To add with yes, use please. I didn't get your question. Now let's check the other parts, which is the we done this average if, we done this some ifs. Now the ifs, if you now have multiple condition, if you have multiple condition, so for example now, I want you to add up Java OS operating system that let me see. Okay, I think all Java OS are non-touch. Okay, we have iOS. Which one that is non-touch and touch there? Okay, yeah. Add up the Windows phone that is non-touch. You know, I have Windows phone here. So I want to add up the unit price of Windows phone that is not of type touch. or add up the Windows phone that is of type touch. Let's use that is of type touch. Add up the Windows phone that is of type touch. So in that case now, I'm using two conditions, both the operating system and the type, for me to add up the unit price. So in that case, I'm going to be using some ifs. Some ifs. Now it's asking for the sum range. Sum range for the sum ifs. Now, what is going to come first is the range of the value that you are summing. So I'm going to add up the unit price before you start adding up the condition. So the next one is okay, sum range. So you can see it's asking for criteria range 1. Criteria range 1 is the operating system. Select it. So what is the criteria for that criteria range 1? If this particular phone is equals to what? Is equal to Windows phones. So Windows phone, and close the bracket. Now that's the criteria. So criteria range 2 is the type touch. So you select the type. So and this one is asking what is the criteria for this type? For this type column is that if the type is equal to touch, so you put touch here now and you close the bracket. Then that's our criteria range. So you close the bracket, you press enter. You can see that it is only this one that meets that criteria. Is the one that is Windows phone and the type is touch. The other Windows phone is not what? Is not touch. That's why it's returning 599. And that is that. Do you any questions or any other thing for this? Do you get that? Okay. Abimbola, I see your hand up.
Okay. Oh, oh my god.
Okay.
Jesus. Hello.
Hello, yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, I joined late.
Okay. So okay.
Yes. Please, I want to ask whether can we get recordings
Yeah,
of
you will get it.
this?
Yeah, you get recordings. Definitely, you will
Okay.
get
Then
recordings.
secondly, I don't know what's wrong with my system. I've been having issues with it. The apps on the system are not opening. Excel will just be rolling and all stuff like that. So, what's the grace period for submitting the assignment?
12 p.m. tonight.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay,
We are
okay.
we're having class tomorrow. Okay, I will give it to like before, let's say 11. We're having class 12 p.m. West African time tomorrow. So
Yes.
before the class, like around 11:55 a.m. tomorrow, you have to submit the assignment before the class because we're going to be doing the
Oh,
correction.
oh,
So
oh, okay, sir. Okay, the one you said that we downloaded, though, Abby.
yes, exactly, yes, that one.
Okay, 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 okay. But seems like the question is not complete, sort of.
It's actually we have like is it like 9 questions there? They are complete. That's just what we want you to like answer. They're complete.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay.
All right. I'll try my best. Okay, okay,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Emisi Olua.
Yes, thank you, sir. I think can you please rerun that some EFs? Like I'm sorry, it's looking like German to me. I don't know if you can like rerun it. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to take that. So, Mr. Akintunde, do you have a question? Or
Yes, I do. What it's a suggestion. So thank you very much. Let me start by appreciating the organizers of the program, you,
welcome, sir.
Toby, and every other person working behind the scenes. Well done.
Thank,
I think it's a very good
thank you, sir.
and
Thank you,
it's
sir.
well appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
So a couple of things from me. Yes, I
Okay,
know
sir.
somebody said something earlier, which you have also said, very profound. It's very
Yes, sir.
important because there's no way you learn this on in a 1 or 2 hour program. People have to
Yes, sir.
just practice. You have to roll up your sleeves and do the Excel. That's the only way you can really learn
Tell them I said they should come and
and
clean
Yes, sir.
this.
understand all these things.
Yes,
No
sir.
matter how well you think you understand, even in class now, I
Yeah,
expect in another 1 or 2 days you forget if you don't really practice. Yeah.
exactly, sir.
So,
Definitely.
and that's by the way. Yes.
Yes, sir.
So my suggestion is this: the assignment. Yes, I know the flow is you drop it on Monday for me
Okay,
Friday.
okay, then.
Somebody made a comment earlier that it might be a bit difficult for people who have to go to work, come back late to leave. and I totally understand that. What I want to
Okay.
suggest is why rather than sending the assignments on Monday, would you want
Okay.
to consider sending them in maybe Thursday, Friday of the same week, so that people have one weekend following up till
Yes.
Friday to submit.
Mm.
So people might choose
Okay.
to do it early in the course of
Okay.
Okay.
that first weekend. Then
Okay.
exactly rather than because I tried to download and do the assignment this week, but honestly I just didn't have the time. That's the honest truth. So that's why I
Okay.
thought if you, for instance, now the one for next week, if you get it like yesterday Thursday or today Friday, then we have the
Mhm.
opportunity of.
Okay. 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 Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So actually, the reason why the assignment is like that is this because we drop videos every week, and the videos that we drop are actually they are like a prerequisite to the assignments. So you have to watch the video, you have to understand the video before you can carry the assignment. And the assignments, we also want to talk about the assignments during the our class over the weekend, like Friday and Saturday. We want to talk about the assignments. That is why it's like that. But this is what we are going to do. I'm going to sit with the committee and we are going to come up with a way whereby it's going to be convenient with everyone. But thank you so much for that suggestion, Shah. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. So for Inisi Olua, let's go back to the sum if. So let me take it over again so that you can have a better understanding of it. And I think we are going to be rounding up with that because our time is fast spent. So for the sum if, now one thing you wanted to know is this: if statement is a conditional statement, like this, you want it to do something if a condition is met. For example, do a have a parallel in your exams. And you stop playing video games, I'm going to take you to Disneyland. In that case, now condition attached to it. So you have to fulfill the condition checking on a row basis now. So this is row 4, row 5. So I want to sum up the value unit price of operating system of Android operating system. So I want to sum up the unit price of Android operating system. So what this one is going to be doing, like it's going to be checking row by row and check, okay, check the operating system for is it Android, then you pick the unit price. Check the next one, is it Android, then you pick the unit price, then you add up everything together. So that's why it works. So if you check the formula I wrote here now, I said, let me try and do that again for this briefly because of our time. Sum if, that is sum this if this condition is met. And what is the condition? So you have to select the range that contains the condition value, which is this Windows operating system range. So I've selected the range like that. So sum this, I want to sum if this condition, if this range that I selected is equal to Android. So if it's equal to 100, what do I want to sum? I want you to sum that's why it's asking for the next one, which is the what? Is sum range. Sum the unit price. So it's going to be checking this thing row by row and looking for the ones that is Android and be adding up the unit price. So when you close the bracket, then you get that particular listing. I think I've gotten this answer is different from what I got the first time now. What's going on? It should be 3,000 something, 3,792. When we talk about now is that if you don't have multiple conditions, that is, it's not only probably operating system again that you are considering before you add up unit price. You are considering other columns like maybe operating system, type, brand, as many columns or as many conditions as you are considering. And you wanted to put them in the condition too that okay, all these conditions must be met before this thing can be added. So in this case now, I want you to add up the price. If the Windows
Sorry,
phone
is that the expected
is it
is that the expected value we are going to get?
for this unit price for the operating system.
Yeah, yeah.
Hello? Yeah, that's the expected
Yes,
value.
yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the expected value.
Because
That's
I
the
thought
expected
you
value.
said I thought you said
So
you
for,
made a mistake, so I was trying to confirm.
yeah. It was
Oh, sorry, I
7.
have a question. Sorry, I have a
Okay,
question. But this
okay.
is the estimated value for Android alone, right?
Android alone, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Android alone. So the other one there was a missing table. I fixed that. So that is the first part. Now the second part is that when we are dealing with multiple conditions, so you do equals to some ifs. That one is, ifs is like multiple condition ifs. Now the sum range for the some ifs, what is coming first is not the criteria range. Now it's the sum range that is coming first. So you add up the value that contains the value you are adding up. So now the first condition, the first criteria is on column operating system. So I want you to add up when the operating system is equal to Windows Phone. So you put Windows Phone there. And the second one is that if the operating system is equal to Windows Phone and the type is equal to touch, that's when you want you to add them up. So you select the other one, which is the type, which is the criteria range 2, criteria 2. Then you put the criteria value there if it's equal to what? Touch. So when you close this thing, then we get 599. And if you see that it is only this one that met the criteria, it is only one that is type. The type is touch and the operating system is what? Is Windows Phone. So that's that. Initially, I hope you get that part.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I think that will be all for today. That'll be all for today. So tomorrow we are going to be like looking at our assignments, like just checking it out. And if you have any question as regarding the assignments, I think a lot of people have a lot of assignments, a lot of questions about the assignment. Yes, it is good that you have questions. It is good that the assignment is actually challenging that way also. Because sometimes when you're analyzing data and you wanted to like dive into data, they won't tell you what you analyze directly. It is you that we able to like, they will give you a problem statement. It is you that we now convert the problem statement to what you understand and what you can analyze. That's why the data is like that. So, but we are going to be looking at it together tomorrow. And you find out that this thing is actually so easy. It's so easy, like so easy. Everything that we've been talk about so far is actually what we are going to use in solving the assignments. So that'll be all for today. Is there anybody with any question? Because of our time, please let's just close it for today. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. See you guys
Yeah, thank you
tomorrow.
very much.
Sorry, please,
Really
I have a
appreciate.
sorry, I have a question, please.
You're welcome. Okay. I'm listening to your question. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I wanted
Your
to ask,
question.
which email are we
Thank you
sending
so
the
much, everyone.
assignment to?
Okay. I will send it to the group now. Don't worry. I'll send it to the group.
All right, thanks.
I'll get the group picture. You're welcome. So thank you, everyone. Please, you have a love.
Hello, I have a question.
Oh, it's already late. Can we take it tomorrow? Or you can send it.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Thank you
Emmanuel.
so much. Thank you so much.
To the
Thank
group
you,
page. I'm going to
Emmanuel.
attend to it.